imagination and fantasy.
Yeah.
There's so much imagination, there's so much fantasy and flair. Imagination and flair, lack a bit of imagination, fantasy, imagination and fantasy.
Yeah.
There's so much imagination, there's so much fantasy and flair. Imagination and flair, lack a bit of imagination and fantasy.
Yeah. All right, we're on now. Trent, you want to
Good
introduce
evening.
us? Good evening.
Welcome to the Sokkah podcast, and we are joined by, we're very excited. We're very, very excited because we're joined by one half of the best football analysis podcast on the planet, David Vujanic. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, boys. Shout out to Australia and the Kangaroos and Tim Cahill. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. The Sokkah podcast. Happy quarantining.
Yeah, like personally,
Yeah.
Trent, I don't know how we've done this. Like, we need to acknowledge this is our peak. We don't get any bigger than this, I think.
I don't think we do.
I mean, that's,
How did you, Joe, what did you do? You just tweeted it, Vuj, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
about to go to bed.
Yeah. What did you say?
And you just,
Yeah, so like
Joe,
this
when
one
you
night,
just tweeted him.
yeah, I just tweeted Vuj saying, "Come on our Australian podcast." I woke up the next morning and like you replied to us. I was going like, "Oh shit, like this could be on," and then yeah, somehow yeah, we're here. So like yeah,
Let's get it.
so like Vuj, like
So,
I'm not
Vuj,
sure.
what's going on at the moment. Yeah, go on, Joe.
So like how do you describe yourself to people that like don't know who you are? So like, are you like an influencer or like a pundit? Like, how do you describe yourself to those who don't know Australia?
That's tough to describe myself. I always find that a bit of a strange one. I'll do what's kind of socially the most acceptable. I guess I'd say I'm a fucking creative. I talk about football a lot. I'm a bit of a YouTuber. Probably one of the most inconsistent YouTubers in the world. Very laid back and just enjoying life, man. Just taking it easy. You know, just whatever kind of creatively hits me, I tend to just do or not do. So yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense, but what you were kind of saying does also make sense in terms of like hashtag influencer, which I mess around with a lot. I don't know. I don't want to say comedian. I'm just kind of doing me and seeing where it goes. I think that's always been my vibe. But you know, I'm on the kind of online, airwaves. I think that's where I've spent a lot of my time and a lot of my creative output. But yeah, I got the channel with my mate Poet, where we do podcasts. We talk about football every week. Got my own channel where I upload shit once every 2 years. And yeah, that's me, bro.
Because like especially like in the last 6 months with Poet, like you guys, you're similar to pundits like your Gary Linekers and like Ferdinand on like Sky Sports and all that, but like it's a totally different audience for you guys at least, because like their appeal is like to like all your Brexit dads and everything, but for you guys it's like that next generation.
Yeah, no, it's definitely I was just talking about this yesterday. Like, I think our audience is almost like the black sheep of football, where I think we enjoy football from a different angle. We don't take it as seriously. We like to talk about things that kind of catch our eye, and like for me, that's from football kits to football players' bums to like I don't know, man.
The back
like,
offs.
and celebrating, limbs. When a goal goes in last minute, there's the kind of random stories you might hear which catch your eye, which don't really make the mainstream kind of wavelengths. And our takes on football tend to be a little bit different as well. So I think we attract quite a niche audience, like you guys. A couple of Aussies. We get quite a few Americans in there, and quite a few people in the UK too. But I think it's for people that are kind of on that kind. I don't know.
It's different.
Just
Yeah,
on
I know
the
what you mean.
periphery of football, where we've gotten all the cream, and we kind of enjoy it in our own way, and it seems like a few other people enjoy it, like yourselves. So yeah, definitely different from what you get on the mainstream.
Yeah, Trent, what were you going to say?
For sure. No, I was just going to say, so where are you in England in the moment, and like what's the lockdown situation going over there?
So I live in Tottenham. I literally live by the stadium, so I can see the stadium. I've seen it when it went.
That's why you love it so much.
Did I? You hate Tottenham? You know what? Since I've been living in the area, I actually starting to become a little bit fond of Tottenham. I don't mind them got a Tottenham shirt. But nah, it's cool, man. Lockdowns, I don't know. I've been enjoying it. I kind of live quite similar to the lockdown circumstances before lockdown, where I spend a lot of time
Yeah.
with myself and just kind of doing me. And this has come along, and actually I've been quite cool. I've been going to the park, going for walks, reading some books. And even the other day, a few guys were like, "Do you want to play some football?" And we just played, a little 3-on-3 in the park. And at one point I was playing basketball, but they boarded up the basketball hoop, so there was no more basketball. It's been pretty chill, man. People are still kind of out and about doing their thing. Obviously, it's a bit more quiet. It's a bit more, social distanced. But there are a few other people that also don't really give a fuck, that are doing their thing. So it seems like we've drawn to each other, and we're not I don't say defying the rules in complete ignorance of it, but just still communicating with people. It's almost in a weird way brought people together. I don't know if you've had that experience, but that when I do go out and I see a few people kind of saying hi to each other on the street these days, which doesn't really happen in London, I find it's become a bit more friendlier these days as well. That might just be my experience, but from what I've been kind of going through, it's been pretty cool. There seems to be like a bit of a shift in how people are living. So yeah, I don't know, man. I've been enjoying it. I've been trying to take the positives from it and not really watching the news, not trying to be scared about everything that's going on. Because I think that's a key thing, is not to be in fear, because I think when we're in fear, that's when you can attract all these other pieces of bullshit that are kind of circulating around. So yeah, man, it's been strange. How about you boys?
Yeah. I think, as you said, like when things are taken away, when people take them for granted, like being able to just go out and see your mates, when that's taken away, I think people obviously feel it affects them more. And so, yeah, like, because we're in WA, in Australia, and they just released, or they lifted the restrictions where you can have a gathering of 10 people now, instead of like 2, a public gathering. And then like people having like, I don't know, like there's loads more like picnics, and you just see people on the side of the road just like chilling, and like just doesn't happen. So
Yeah, because I feel like as like a community in London, like you mentioned it, but I feel like even in Perth here as well, it's like, even though we can't see our community, it's brought us together like as like a team. And it's like, if we can beat this together, then like the sooner we can like go back to like normal life.
Go back.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
Hasn't been too bad, man. So I'm looking forward to it ending. And watch football.
Have you been clapping the NHS every night?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't clapped once.
That's clapped.
Been clapping, I don't know, it just didn't feel organic to me. So I heard the claps. At one point I might have gone woo, but that's as far as my kind of social mobilization has gone during this period. So I haven't, but I've heard the claps and they are nice, and a bit of morale boosting. Why not? But I think when it starts happening every night, it kind of felt a bit like, all right, we can stop now. That's just me. I'm a bit of a cynic, but yeah.
So like on like a personal note, with like you and Poet's channel, obviously, like I think since the UK has gone into lockdown, you've done like 1 episode. Like, how have you like gotten around restrictions, or like how has it like affected like you guys?
I mean, yeah, we're not filming weekly. We did 1 episode. I'm gonna do one. We're gonna do one today as well. After this, I'm gonna go film another episode. Yeah, it's definitely slowed down things. There hasn't been as much content to do and put out. But at the same time, saying that, I've been enjoying it, because for the past 7 years, 8 years, we've done almost an episode every week for 7, 8 years. And that's why I think, we got our 100K plaque quite quickly after we left Copper 90, because, I think the audience that was there was very loyal to us and what we've been providing over the years. And it's a real kind of community-based show, which, doesn't hit the crazy numbers, but it really does feel like almost like a family. So I've been missing that element of it, of kind of seeing the comments and communicating with people. But we'll be back soon, and we're still doing bits and bobs here and there. So it slowed it down, but for me, it's been a good slowdown, because just to not have absolutely anything to do has been quite refreshing.
Yeah, so like for us, especially, Like, because we just started maybe 6 months ago. So if we just stopped because of like Corona, like we would have lost all of our momentum coming up to now. So like before we were in lockdown, we just did like a regular show, like similar to you and Pod, like just me and Trent talking shit. Like ever since
In person.
Corona, we've like tried to like get on like all these guests now, especially Aussies playing in like overseas in the UK and Italy. So like that's been like carrying us like the last like 2 months now. Isn't it,
Joe's
Trent?
been going on Football Manager. Yeah, Joe's been going on Football Manager and finding all the Australians that play in Italy and just sliding into their DMs.
And you managed to get a few?
It's working. Yeah, we've got like heaps of like Australian under 23s who like qualified for the Olympics. So yeah, it's mad.
Wicked.
Really cool. All right, now Joe, quickly, you're wearing a Perth Glory top. Is it a retro top?
No, it's last season's kit and need to support local, and I thought this will be our most viewed episode, so I'll get Glory summer.
I've got a Rio Ferdinand.
Nice. I like that.
Retro England kit. You got it.
I've got it, but with no name on the back. But I like that.
No Ferdinand on the back. Yeah, no, it is sick. And I do mention that because our official sponsor, Vintage Soccer Shirts Australia. If you need a vintage soccer shirt, go to the website, Sokkah, Sokkah, at the checkout for 10% off. And our other sponsor. Now, Joe, I heard a rumor that I need to live stream an event. Did you hear this rumor?
I keep on hearing this rumor, Trent. I think you're onto something.
Streamgate Live Streaming Australia, our official sponsor, our premium live streaming service in Australia. If you need a live streaming event, they're the ones for you. Their studio is 5 minutes from Sydney. Lots of different features with them, so check them out. And with that, Joe, please fire away at Vuj. What do you want to ask him?
So obviously, like you first like burst onto the scene with Bricka, is that right, on YouTube?
Yeah.
So that would have been like close to 10 years ago, even longer.
Maybe like around 8, 9. I checked around 9 years ago. I'd say 2011 times.
Yeah, so that got you like in like the kind of like the YouTube community in London, like when it was first starting to like begin, when you got like a few characters going around. Like I'm slowly discovering all this in Australia.
No.
So obviously like Bricka like it got you like your name initially. Then like comments below that started probably in like the early to mid 2000s with Poet.
Yeah, maybe like 2012, 2013. Yeah.
So how'd you get the original job at Copper 90? What was that like?
There was an audition for this show called Comments Below. And Poet called me up and he said, "Do you want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah." I mean, I was at university then. And I said, "It's just about talking about football and we might get paid like £200 a week." I was like, "Bruv, I'm at uni. Like, I'll take anything right now. And I can talk about football." And then we got the audition and we got the show and we started doing this fucking show every week. I couldn't fucking believe it. And that was it, bruv. I started working at Copper 90 with Poet. And the start of something magical, start of something insane that's led to absolutely crazy experiences in the football world. And yeah, that was it. The start of this journey.
So how did you
were you
know
studying
Poet?
anything at uni? Oh, sorry, Joe.
Sorry, which one?
You go,
Joe.
Trent.
Okay, no. What were you studying at uni? Was it anything like music production or like anything to do with the creative?
I was doing international relations. So
Nice, a businessman.
What I do now? No, it's actually more political. So it's more like international politics.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Massive change up. I'll get to my question. So like, how did you and Poet like originally know each other?
So Poet was doing his YouTube stuff, and he had a show called That's a Rap Show. And he used to wear like a Tottenham shirt and just talk absolute shit about random things like in the girl in the ends that sleeps with too many guys, or the guy that won't owes you money, and he just go on these rants about these things, and I used to find it hilarious. And then I started my whole parody stuff like Bricka and a bit of the comedy on my channel, and I wanted him to cameo in one of my videos, and he couldn't make it. But one time I bumped into him in Hyde Park, in the park. I was riding my bicycle, a BMX, which only had one gear, and it was really, really shoddy bicycle. And then I just bumped into him, and I was like, "Yo, Poet, man, I've seen your stuff online. Like, you're gonna see me around soon. Like, trust me, I got some shit coming." He was like, "All right, bro, cool." And then that was it. And then he started seeing some of my stuff go around in the UK. And then this Copper 90 opportunity came along because he used to see me tweet a lot about football. There wasn't that many of us tweeting about football back then in like 2012, 2011, and he was like, "Man, you got some funny takes. Do you want to like join me in this audition?" And then we got the job at Copper 90, and it's it was insane. That's how we met.
That's so
Yeah, no, that's like insane. So obviously
so cool.
you and Poet have your own channel now, like Poet and Vuj. How did you find the transition to like editing your own videos, doing your own media, and like all of the behind the scenes work?
It was a bit of a tough transition, to be honest, because when you're kind of part of a company for 7 years, you get into the habit of someone else editing your videos. They're pretty much organizing most of the things. You might come up with the creative ideas, and then you just turn up and be on camera, or you travel and interview footballers, and it's all kind of the backlog is almost organized all the time. And then when it kind of went over, I pretty much had to take over the editing process, looking over the editing process, organizing where we're going to shoot, which ended up being on the street because we didn't have a studio. And I thought, let's just film on the street because fuck it, you know what I mean? So that's kind of become a thing that we do now, is every week we film on the street. So it's been pretty cool, man. It's very raw and organic, but it's been interesting. You're having to find a few other people to like help us shoot out. Sometimes someone else will edit these days, paying a guy that does our podcast. So a bit more responsibility there. But now I've pretty much gotten used to it, and it's not so difficult right now once we transitioned, and I am enjoying it a lot more now. It's a lot more organic. There's no one over your shoulder telling you what to do and how to act, which has been refreshing. So kind of like 6-7 months in now, it's pretty much, or maybe more, 10 months, less than a year, but my brain has rewired itself, and it's kind of back where I'm enjoying it again. But yeah, the initial period was kind of tricky.
Yeah, because I religiously watch like comments below, like growing up, all that, and like you could tell like every now and then there'd be periods with like you and like Poet as well, that like you guys, like you could tell like you weren't loving it as much. Yeah. But then like ever since like Poet and Vuj, like your new channel started, it's been like all guns blazing, like from the start, and you can tell it's like it's all that organic nature of the show now. Like there's like no filter. It's just you guys do like whatever you want.
Exactly. We can talk about pretty much anything now, and I can use in the edit whatever I want. Whereas before, people would maybe feel what we're saying is inappropriate, or they might think, that joke's a bit too far, or this isn't politically correct, or this isn't vanilla.
It's all bullshit.
It became very vanilla, and I don't like being censored. I don't really enjoy that process of being censored, and because we don't have bad intentions with what we're saying, we like to have a laugh, and I think that's what all friends do, is that we just like to have a laugh. But when you're part of companies and larger companies, corporations, it's just what happens. I think people get censored, and it becomes a bit of a weird space to be in. So there was definitely times where I wasn't enjoying it at Copper 90.
Yeah, for sure. Have you felt as you're like, have you felt as you're like your audience has grown, your following has grown, that you feel you have more of a responsibility to, or have you just felt as you've gone like on your own now, separate from Copper 90, that you like, well, your opinion, you're just happy to project that, and sort of the audience has really just accepted it?
Yeah. You can see it in the comments, and it's just like a higher concentration of I'd say people that maybe are similar to us, and there maybe isn't millions of us, but they are people that I think just try to enjoy life and not take it so seriously. And I think that's reflected in the community kind of base that we have in our audience, and the comments are always very, very positive, and kind of having a laugh and picking up on the little jokes that we're having and the little things that are happening behind camera. I'm always impressed by that, and it's been reflected really well. So much more content right now. It's good.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Man.
All right. Now, as a big Liverpool fan, Joe, go on.
Yeah, I forgot about that point. We'll get back to Liverpool. You go.
So as a big Liverpool fan, obviously, Joe said the Liverpool is similar to the team we're at, Perth Glory. because like we in the Perth Glory won the old A League called the NSL, like the old league, won like 3 titles, and in the recent period we've just been rubbish. And recently, last year we had a really good year and won the Premier's Plate. But like as a Liverpool supporter who like has gone through a lot of shit, what was it like with you, your feelings of how they've been doing so well recently, and also like the people around in England, like because in Australia it's a bit different. Like people say they're Liverpool supporters, like, oh, you know, just because they're doing well. But like, as a true Liverpool fan, how's it been watching them like just go fucking insane recently?
Been good, man. I mean, I kind of said when Klopp joined, I said we're going to win the league in the next 3-4 years. I think it's been 5 now, or maybe 4 or 5. So I was off by a few years, and it was kind of weird. I think I kind of got used to the whole battling against the favourites, and you're sort of always that team that has a big fan base but doesn't achieve. So now, kind of watching Liverpool just steamroll teams and not get beaten at all,
Mm.
in the strangest way, I found it a little bit boring.
You know, yeah, I found the glory boring as well when we're winning. To be actually, yeah, I've found that as well.
When I watch like the Serbian league, you know, it's always Red Star and Partizan winning all their games, and I don't watch the Serbian league because of that reason. Because I'm just not going to watch these teams beat everyone, and then when there's one derby, you watch it because it's like competitive.
Yeah,
And there's a part of me which yeah, it's cool, it's nice. You know, won the Champions League. I was there. It was nice to witness.
yeah,
But maybe there's some sort of weird mental, I don't know, way that I view football where I enjoyed the element of like a struggle and the team battling against teams. Which
I should agree with it. Yeah,
now when it's just like win, 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 win. I don't know. It doesn't feel as amazing as maybe I thought it would feel. But you know, Liverpool,
yeah,
the league, you know, they're going to take it in one way or another. They obviously won
yeah,
the Champions League. Yeah, it's good. It's good what's been happening, but the way I view football is maybe different to someone who's born in Liverpool and really cares about the club, and you know they've been following it from like, you know, the day they're born. Whereas me, I adopted the club because I'm not originally from England, so maybe
yeah,
my attachment to it isn't as, you know, as deep as someone who's actually from there. So I've started to kind of appreciate the game a lot more and not be so fanatical about like Liverpool itself. You know, like before I'd never wear another Premier League team shirt, and now I've got like a Tottenham shirt. And you know, if Jovic goes to Arsenal, I'd get a Jovic Arsenal shirt. Like I just don't care anymore.
Do you know how many kits you have, by the way?
I had 183. It's probably around 200 now.
shit.
Yeah,
You know, I feel the point when you said Liverpool winning, because last year Glory pretty much we won the majority of our games, and going through so much struggle, it got to a point where I'd prefer us winning away from home than at home, because I just thought I do, because away from home was like we're upsetting more people, and it's more of like you're against the odds a bit more.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, I'm all about that kind of story of the underdog, and I don't know if that's what's that word, sadomasochistic, or it's when you're like, you know, you like to feel the pain, you know, the struggle.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a bit of that, and obviously I follow Serbian football, and we're always the underdogs because it's just so much bullshit going on. But when you do win or do pull off a result, it just feels so much sweeter. So it's weird. Maybe it shows, you know, for me, I'm not into the game for the glory. I'm more into football for the stories and kind of the celebration and the game itself. And I love an underdog story. That's always been my favorite part of football, is an underdog story. So I love kind of when there is an underdog element to the game. Like I love Sheffield United now just because the way they play. I expected them to do well. I love Wolves. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just view it from a different lens now than maybe back in the day when I was like 15, 16. And it was all about Liverpool, you know. So
No, for sure.
It's actually funny. Last Christmas, I actually went to Sheffield with me and one of my best mates, because like all we talked about was like the mines in Sheffield. There's mines, all the miners, like the coal. We went there, there were just like hills everywhere, just so much greenery that no mines at all.
No mines in Sheffield. Yeah, Sheffield's great. I've been there once to go to see the university, and it's a really cool city. People are really friendly, and I'm glad that they're doing well in the Premier League, man. It's always nice to see a team go up and do well. So it's very enjoyable
for sure.
journey.
For sure.
So Vuj,
Right.
how much do you know about Australian football? About the A-League, Socceroos, any players that stick out for you?
I'll be honest with you about the ASL is not really on my radar. I don't think it's on many of our radars in the UK. Obviously, when Australia qualify for the World Cup, I do enjoy watching Australia. Fan base is absolutely fucking insane. I not so fondly remember the 2006 World Cup when they played Serbia in South Africa and won 2-1. And,
I don't know how we did, but
in the 90th minute because Cahill handballed it and the ref didn't give it. So that was a painful memory for me with Australia. But there's always like iconic moments of Australia in the World Cup. Like even when they played what did they do again? They who did Australia play? What the Croatia when they played Croatia and
Oh
similarly
yeah, when like with the 3 yellow cards.
3 yellow cards. And then you guys, I remember you played Brazil in that World Cup, and even in this World Cup, you had France and Pogba scoring that lucky goal.
Yeah.
Because you guys
and Cahill against
you guys just play
the Cahill volley.
because obviously they are the underdogs. That's why I do enjoy watching them. You play with so much heart, with players that maybe aren't the greatest, but you can see how much it means to the Aussie players, and the fans always turn out in huge numbers. So I have a big respect for like the Australian national team and how they care about representing their country and how they always go for it in these games. So that's one big plus. But in terms of the club level, I don't know much. I know obviously a few of the teams, Perth and fucking Auckland and all these New Zealand Wanderers and all this stuff, but don't know much about this stuff. I know Ninkovic. Ninkovic plays for Sydney. I've seen a few of his goals, but
yeah, he's not bad, Ninkovic. Like an Aussie you might know, plays for Red Star, Milos Deganek.
Yeah, I went for food with him once in Belgrade.
Sick.
Oh really? How was he? Is he a good bloke?
He's cool, brother. He's cool as shit. We went to you should try DM him. He might be up for a podcast as well.
Yeah, we might have to.
Yeah, try it. Say he spoke to me. Say that you guys.
He's got a big nose.
Yeah, he's got a real Serbian nose, bruv. Like, that's what I mean. Like, big noses from where we're from.
So I've got an Italian one, which is probably around the same size.
Yeah, you got the what do you call it? The kind of hook nose.
Mine's quite small.
That hook thing. My one's more pointy and like I got the ski slope here. But fucking yeah, Deganek's cool, man. He's from the same town as me. We were both born in Croatia and left during the war. So we had like a bit of a link there, and he's really blessed. Told me some interesting stories. Had some good food. He's been putting off great performances at Red Star as a centre back, and he passionately loves the club, and he always speaks highly of Australia as well. So Deganek's a G for sure.
How are like Aaron Moy and Matt Ryan viewed from an English perspective? Because I know like we think very highly of them, but like what do the sort of over there in England, what do they think of like the Australian players in the Premier League, which there aren't many, but
I mean they've got a good reputation. I mean Matt Ryan, who does he play for again?
They both play for Brighton.
They both play for Brighton. Yeah. I mean Ryan, I haven't really been into that much, but a guy that I've always liked Moy.
With a bald head.
Yeah.
He's got a bald head. He's like 21 with a bald head. And just the way he plays football, he's a good technical player. He can pull strings. He has a good shot on him. He's got a bit of vision. So I think in the Premier League, if you show quality, fans are gonna pick it up. And for me, the way I play football, if someone's got a strange look or they look a bit different, I'm always like, who's that player? And he's got a cool name as well. Like he's got a name Moy. So M-O-O-Y. So I enjoy watching players like that kind of stand out. So Poet pointed him out initially, and I like to see. But he played better last year, didn't he? Like year before, I think.
Yeah. His first year in the Prem.
Best.
Yeah, he was a bit more informed that year. But there have been some legends, and Harry Kewell's one of my favourite players. I remember.
Yeah, he was at Liverpool. Yeah.
The Predators. There's been some good players. You've had a good impact. Obviously, Viduka. Cahill's an absolute legend. 4'3", and he can head it better than Crouch. It's you produce unorthodox football players. I think Australia. and unorthodox is what I am all about. So no, there's definitely positive
Yeah.
perceptions of Aussie players.
So now you were saying like
Yeah, that's cool.
you don't have you don't support any Australian club. Can we change your mind on that?
Well, I mean, it would probably be a club that has either a Serbian player or is most supported by Serbs. I don't know who that would be, but my initial pull is obviously to Sydney because of Ninkovic. But if you can give me some different...
There is a Balkan player who plays for our club, Perth Glory. He's like a cult legend. He's about 36 years old, 37 years old. And he's
probably like 40 by now.
Okay.
Joe, tell him what happened in the grand final.
So last year it was a Glory Sydney in the grand final. It's about 25 minutes in, and his name's Dino Djulbic. He's hyperextended his leg. Turns out he's ruptured his ACL, and you'd think a normal player would just get subbed off, and someone else would go on and play the rest of the game. He goes on to play 120 minutes with one knee.
Wow.
And what's even stranger, he's back playing 3 months later.
Yeah, so he didn't do he was talking to the physio at Glory, and he's like, so he's probably 37, I think, he's end of his career, and he said, the physio goes, if you operate, it'll be out for 12 months and you're probably done. He's like, can we rehab it any other way? And they rehabbed it without a surgery, and he's back playing.
Legend. But that's very Balkan of him, I like the sound of Dino. He sounds like a good dude. Another way you can convince me is football kits. I mean, the one thing about the Sydney guys is they've got that light blue kit, and it looks a bit like Man City. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Not too sold on that. I'm seeing the Macron Perth shirt. It looks quite good.
It's not bad.
I
actually got a pair of their old shorts, which are amazing. They're just copper shorts.
Nice.
Oh, they're nice.
It's so good.
Nice. G shit.
They're sick.
But another club you might be interested in is Brisbane Roar, because they're coached by Robbie Fowler.
Ooh, what's that? Let me just look up their shirt right now on Google real quick.
So the story with Brisbane this season, they got off to a shockingly horrible start. They're coached by one of the best strikers in English history, but for their first 10 games they couldn't score any goals. And then the last 2 months before Corona came, they just were undefeated, and I think they're third or fourth now. But they got
they're doing pretty well.
It's like a meme that Brisbane play Brexit ball essentially. And Robbie Fowler actually came out in the media and said, I don't know what this Brexit ball is. I play nice fluent football, and just smashed all these guys on Twitter.
Serious. Wait, I think I found the wrong football league. Oh, this is Aussie Rules football. Australian Sokkah League. The ASL. It's not the football league. My bad. All right. I'm doing a little bit of research on the spot.
No, it's good. That's what we want.
Yeah, so we got 11, 12 next season.
Yeah, of course we have 11 because
You know what? I think I fuck with the Western Sydney Wanderers.
They probably have the best fans, I would say.
Yeah.
I think you've sold me there, bro.
So they've got a cult fan base. They call them the RBB, and it's a big ethnic community in Western Sydney. And you'd love them. You'd love them. There's actually a good video on Copper 90 about them. I think
Ellie
they won the
one
Asian
about
Champions
them.
League.
I think for me, I might be a Western Sydney Wanderer because you've just told me a lot of ethnic guys. I can imagine it's a lot of Balkan dudes. I like the shirt. A guy actually tried to reach out and send me a shirt, but it never fucking got to me, sadly.
All right.
I do like that. In fact, it's a Nike shirt. I like the Nike shirt. I like the black and red stripes. So it might be I think I'd fit in well. And if it's a cult fan base, I'm all about the cult fan bases. So
Vuj is a Western Sydney Wanderer. I like it.
We haven't talked to Vuj about Alessandro Diamanti yet, though.
Okay.
Tell me, Joe.
Do you remember him? Do you remember him when he played in Italy and for West Ham? Diamanti.
I do briefly remember him, but not so much.
So he's probably the cult player in the A League at the moment. He just brings his personality. He's if there was a guy who was have a nice, it'd be you and Diamanti, I think, Because like if you check his Instagram now, it's always him just like laughing. Like he does a TikTok. He's like 38 years old. He's like the best player in the league as well. But what's like hilarious about him though is like he's always in his car driving, just like filming himself. That's like against like the law. There's like no rules like that apply to him. Listen to these like 90s like Euro trash like techno wubs, and like he's just the best character like that A-League's ever had.
Shout out to Diamanti. I'm gonna have to look him up. I need to follow him. Got to send me
Big ups.
links to his socials.
Yeah, we will. All right. Now, Vuj, I want to ask you a little bit about some of the interviews you've done. Like, I'm sure it probably blows your mind, some of the people you've interviewed. When you interviewed Ronaldo, so the OG Ronaldo, what was it like? Because I know, was he one of the big, like, when you were growing up, was he like your person you looked up to when you were watching football?
100%, man. R9 was for me like God. I mean, apart from Michael Owen, I mean, R9 for me is number one. Michael Owen number two in terms of maybe Gerrard, then Owen in terms of my favorite players growing up as a kid, and those leave the biggest impact on your life. Bro, R9, I remember 1998 is when I came to the UK, and then 2 months later it was the World Cup in May, and I just picked up Brazil, man. I don't know. I picked up Brazil and I loved the R9 so much. My first pair of boots was the R9, the Nike R9s, silver ones. My first football shirt was the fucking Brazil shirt, the yellow one from the '98 World Cup. So he was an absolute icon for me growing up. And yeah, I went to Russia, and Nike gave Copper 90 like 10 minutes to interview him, and I was like, bruv, I'm doing this one. Like, I'm there. And obviously he's put on a bit of weight. He has changed, but he's a lovely guy. I felt very honoured to interview him. Definitely a bit of a dream of mine came true, meeting him and interviewing that legend. It was a beautiful moment, and obviously at the World Cup as well. So it just all kind of went, it all kind of
came
went
together.
full circle. So I've had a few of those moments in my life where it just felt like completely surreal and very full circle in how things developed. So yeah, fucking Don, man, absolute Don of a player.
Yeah.
Just like on that note, on that note as well. Sorry, Trent. When was like that first time interviewing someone when you were like, oh shit, we've made it? Or like how like we're in so deep now? Like how did what did I ever do to like get this far? Like did that like ever click for you?
Definitely a few moments where, me and Poet have been doing this football thing. Maybe we were maybe one of the first ones in terms of like online football interviewing players in a bit more of a different way. And I guess the first one we really had, which was a bit bigger, was Theo Walcott, and that was the FIFA and Chill. That was the first FIFA and Chill we did.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was weird because we're in bathrobes, about to interview a football player, and people don't know how it's gonna go, And I was like, no, I'm gonna tell him to make us a tea, and everybody was like, are you sure? Like, I don't know. Like, I was like, yeah, man, trust me, like, it should be good. It'll be good. And then we were in the bathrobes, and it's like, yo, Theo, can you make us some tea? And he was like, yeah, how many sugars do you take? And we were like, sick. That's how we knew we hit the kind of jackpot of that idea. And then maybe like Beckham. When I did Beckham, that was a very surreal moment for me. Just because it was basically there was the reopening of this Adidas store on Oxford Street in London. And when they were reopening it, they had Stormzy and Beckham come on stage, and me and Poet had to interview them. But this was like the same store that I used to go to when I was like 12, 13. And when like the F50s came out, the one was with the spider design. It was like blue and black, and it had that tongue. And I remember getting when I used to get like one pair of AstroTurfs a year from my parents to kind of just play in school and after school. So when I got those AstroTurfs from that store, I remember that moment going there. They had my size. They cost like £60, which was like mind blowing at that moment. And then 10 years later, I'm sitting in the reopening of this store, interviewing Beckham and Stormzy, and in the audience, in the first row of the audience, was a friend from my secondary school. And it was just
That's full circle there, yeah.
Level of full circle was my mind was cracking, and it was like, this is just absolutely insane. And Beckham comes on with his beautiful smile, and it's just like, first thing I said, amazing teeth,
You also mentioned Stormzy. Yeah, like I've noticed, like especially in the UK, between like the rap community, like with like grime and everything, there's like a massive like there's like a Venn diagram, and the bit in the middle is like football, between like the football community and grime. And there's like AJ Tracy, Stormzy. They're like always rapping about like the football essentially. In Australia, there's nothing. No one raps about the A League or anything. So like, how important do you think it is like having like football like just embedded in like the culture?
Yeah, I mean, football here is just embedded absolutely everywhere. You
Mm.
know, music, football, grime, rap. It's everywhere. From rappers using metaphors and puns, talking about
False nine.
football players and yeah, Volta. It's really kind of gone. It's really sort of merged, maybe much more similar to the NBA in the US, where it's
Yeah.
become more of like a one thing. Whereas it wasn't like that for a while. It was quite kind of disjointed. But now with the rise of the internet and people realizing how much everything can kind of amplify um, itself, it's definitely become more joined. And yeah, it's big. It's big, man. It's big. Rappers really, rappers would want to be footballers, really, and footballers would want to be musicians most of the time. So I think
Yeah.
it's quite natural the way it's gone.
Yeah, no, for sure. And with all the with all the interviews you've done,
Yeah.
has it surprised you that a lot of the people you've interviewed are just really down to earth, and some of them are larger than life figures? Like, you're talking about Beckham, Ronaldo, and you talk to them and they're just like, does it surprise you, or are you kind of used to it?
I think used to it. Um, that was one thing me and Poet did, is that we had conversations and said, like, let's try and humanize these players, make them just feel a
Yeah.
bit more human and talk to them about just normal shit, music and food and girls and whatever, just what they talk to with their mates with. And that was
Yeah.
always kind of our approach. And I think once you approach them in that way, most footballers, their guard goes down and they approach the interview in a different way. But once you come in a suit and you've got the clipboard, and they're
Yeah.
naturally a bit more guarded, because the media is always looking for a story, aren't they? So
Mm.
I think we got a reputation of kind of being the wild cards on the football scene here in the UK, and yeah, that's led to many great interviews. So no, most footballers, I really don't have. I don't think I've had one experience my end where I can say I felt that it was weird or uncomfortable.
Yeah, that was stuck up or something.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no. Pretty much everyone's been pretty damn chill. Yeah,
Yeah, because I think like we've
that's
like
awesome.
noticed the same as well. I think
yeah,
because like even though like we've interviewed like a few A League players, a few players are like playing Qatar and Italy and all that. Like if you like try to be their friend, and like they'll be your friend as well, and they'll just open up so much more to you. And like you're not talking about like all the stuff that like the Sun talk about. You're just talking about
mm,
like stuff that like our audience like can relate to.
Wants to hear. Yeah.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. No, that's the vibe, man. I mean, once you start doing that, you just get more and more better interviews, and people are more comfortable with talking with you. You get a reputation. No, it's sick, bro. So shout out to footballers, man. They're just doing it. At the end of the day, a lot of them are just doing a job. They're doing the best
Yeah.
they can, man. They obviously have very talented people, get paid a lot. Can't blame them. And yeah, I mean, sometimes I think unfair what the media does in vilifying
Yeah.
footballers the minute they do something a little bit left field. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, because they're just like us, man. It's just that they've got a lot more money, tend to be better looking, fitter, and they're good at football.
Yeah, it's quite similar in Australia as well. Like the mass media, it's not so much the players that they target, so much like the fans. So for example, like the Western Sydney
Yeah.
Wanderers, like we were saying, they have like the best fans. So like you'd go to their games 5, 10 years ago, and there was like flares everywhere, scenes and everything. There was like marches before the game, just like all your amazing fan culture. But once like the mainstream like media here like got onto that, they started like reporting all these people to the police, just like vilifying all these fans. And like that's probably what's like stopped the growth of like football here, especially in the last like 5, 10 years. It just stagnated because like there's no fan culture because of the media, and like they want us to be the good guys like AFL, but like we
Yeah.
can't develop our own culture because it's all like criminalized now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
authorities a lot of the time are just absolutely full of shit. Unfortunately, and
Yeah.
they stifle any sort of creativity and growth. I think it's probably handled the best maybe in places like Germany, where they've got safe standing. You know, clubs are generally, there's a bit of fan ownership, and you can see, the prices are a lot cheaper. I think they maybe show a lot more respect to fans. But in the UK, bruv, like same shit here, man. It's pretty tough sometimes. Unless it's a big game, a lot of the time it can be quite a library atmosphere. And I think I heard about that in Australia when they were banning the flares and the kind of stifling the fan culture. I mean, bro, if you're not fighting and hurting anyone, like,
Exactly.
just let it happen. I think it's ridiculous. I'm really not a fan of what they do in terms of the authorities and football. I think they need to fucking relax. And of course, you don't want it to boil over, but a bit of argy-bargy here and there. I mean, it's only natural.
That's what you want to see.
It's not that much of a big deal. I think it's just they're looking for something to vilify, and the commercialization and the money. And once the money and the commercialization becomes the priority, unfortunately, that means that a lot of the time, other things are stifled, and sometimes that does lead to fan culture being stifled. But luckily, it's still alive in many other places in the world.
Yeah. The one problem we have in Australia is like, Joe was talking about the media, but a lot of those media outlets, like, because the Australian Football League, like rugby, cricket gets a lot more coverage than soccer. And I think we've got a few questions as well. People asked, like, what do you, because obviously the culture in England's like, it's in a good spot for football. Like a lot of people love football, and it's talking about like we struggle with just getting like Glory will struggle getting on the WA news when they win. And like, it's hard. Like, I don't know. Would you have any thoughts on how it can grow, like in Australia, like to grow that culture?
I guess it has to come from the people, and it has to be a demand from like the ground. And if you start filling the grounds and maybe lowering ticket prices, really trying to attract more people to watch the games, there will be more of a demand on the TV stations to cover it. But if you're doing your job and you're enjoying it from your level, fuck what they're doing. And if they're showing it love, like if you're showing it love and you're enjoying it, I play aside with my friends, like, it'll be cool for the papers to come down and film us, but we're not good enough, so we're going to enjoy it and have the best time we can. And if someone does come take photos, that's great. I think try not to give them as much credibility. If you have enough of a strong movement on the ground, that should be enough. At least as long as you're enjoying it, man. And they might come along, they might not, but fuck them. I think that's
because like the weird thing in like Australia, at least, everybody watches like the Premier League, like they know what's happening in Europe and everything, but like they won't go down the road to watch like their local team play, like when they have a home game. Like a lot of people would like rather stay home, watch the Premier League at like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, whatever the time is here, than pay like $30 and like go watch your local team. So like that's probably like the biggest like the hardest thing to overcome for like a lot of fans here.
That is tough. And I didn't know that. I mean, I guess, is there a way that the games could be shown at a different time, or does it normally clash?
It's not so much at times. A lot of these people say like, oh, like the quality of the league like isn't the best, but like for me, it's not even about the quality. It's about like the atmosphere and like just being like at a game physically.
Yeah, I hear you. But that's what I mean. Is like it's gonna be tough to convince. You can't force people. I think that's an important thing. Is like you have to focus, I think, on what's important for you. And, if you're enjoying it and you've got 10, 20 other friends that are enjoying it, of course, it would be better if it's a full stadium, but it can be very hard convincing other people, I think, what to do with their time in general. And I guess that's a double-edged sword for you guys, is that you've got the Premier League, you've got all these other leagues, which are historically much more better quality, and there's a lot more money in it. But there's just naturally more fans, much more of a global reach, and you're going to struggle against that. I think the MLS maybe has a similar struggle, but over there, it seems like people are a bit more hungry for local sports. And LAFC, the new club, and they're filling out stadiums. They've got a great fan base there. It seems like Miami new club, they seem like they're attracting a decent audience. Like it's growing quite well over there organically. Maybe is there something in following the kind of MLS model, but the Aussies, you've got a different mentality. I think that's also what kind of
because like I think like the major difference, like I like to think of the MLS is like the Australian league, but with like with money, because like we have like a salary cap here, which I think has like staggered the growth here for the last like 15 years, like just for the league itself.
That's tough. I think lift the salary cap, maybe start protesting that, try and lift it. But you're fighting an uphill battle there, man. It seems. They're really
Yeah,
trying.
no, for sure.
They don't want you to win. They don't. They definitely
Yeah, no,
trying
for
to
sure.
stifle you guys, but it must be a mentality thing because I think the Americans they have that kind of creative growth mentality where they want to be the biggest, they want to be the largest, they want to attract the biggest players. Where the Aussies are just like, fuck that, mate. Do you know what I mean? You guys
Yeah.
don't care, and maybe that's the thing that's going on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, one more question I had was those games you played in at Wembley, like I think it's called the Wembley Cup, and you played in some of these big charity games. How's it like? Because you've kind of lived the life of a professional footballer for like a few games. What are those games like, and what's it like being like packed stadium?
Bruv, it's surreal. I think we played in front of like 30,000 at Wembley and maybe 15 when there's like one tier was open.
Yeah, yeah,
Robbie Fowler scored a free kick past me and I was in goal. I remember like setting up for that free kick and I was like, no, he's gonna put it, but I'll probably be able to save it. I moved too slowly and it went top corner. I got a hand onto it.
Oh no.
It is surreal, man. Like there's definitely more pressure. You're in the moment and mad experience, playing at Wembley. Played at Charlton with the Sidemen. That was like 23,000 people, full stadium pretty much.
That's
That
sick.
was mad. I missed the sitter. But you do feel how addictive it can be to be a football player.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, I think, a dream job if you love football. I love football for the game. And when I play football, I love to enjoy how I play football. For me, it's not about maybe, yes, I'm competitive, but it's about what can you do on the pitch that can, create a goal or create an opportunity for someone. And it really is a beautiful game. I think that's what I've gathered even from having those on pitch experiences. Like I played at Anfield a few times as well. I scored 2 goals. It's surreal, man. Absolutely surreal to kind of have those experiences. You can see how, maybe at times the crowd can affect it. Or maybe at times also you can zone out and you don't even hear the crowd. You're just like in what's happening. And it's great, as you said. Like I've almost lived the footballer's life for 3 or 4 games, and they do, I would say, have the best job in the world. I think if you concentrate on the game and loving the game, it's the best job in the world. I think if you start getting distracted by deals and money and fame and girls and whatever, it can become tricky. But it really is the beautiful game for sure.
Yeah, no, love that. That's cool.
Now, Trent, should we get to our Twitter questions we have for Vuj?
We should, Joe. We should. Now we'll go one at a time. So you asked the first one, and I've got some here as well.
So we've got one from Francis, and he asks, "What's the best haircut in football?"
The best haircut in football. That's a tough one. I'm trying to think of trimming.
Like Ronaldo 2002 comes to mind for me.
Oh, yeah. I used to like.
I like Edgar Davids with the dreadlocks.
No, sorry, Taribo West.
Oh, the Nigerian with like he had like
Taribo West with the bald hair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna look that up now.
Like Platts, like just.
That's different gravy.
Most iconic footballer for me.
Oh my lord!
Taribo.
I'm looking at it now. Taribo.
Legend.
Should I screen share it? Let's see if it'll work.
Absolute legend.
What a guy.
Yeah. Incredible. Icon.
That's so funny.
Icon.
That's sick. All right. All right. Oh, okay. Chicken Treat Fan Club asks, "What's the best chicken joint in East London man got to eat when he travels?"
In East, I wouldn't know, but there is one in the North.
Okay.
King.
Yeah.
Chick King, Tottenham High Road. It's not when you have these like chicken shop chickens, right? Sometimes when you open it up, it's a bit watery. The chicken breast has been pumped with like Evian beforehand. It's not that true chicken. It's tasty, a bit deadly, but a bit disappointing in my opinion. Chick King in Tottenham, it feels a bit more higher end. Where like the breast is really succulent, it's not as greasy, great flavor, but you get your money's worth. So Chick King, North London, iconic chicken shop. opposite the stadium as well, so you can see the Tottenham Stadium too. So East, there's plenty in East as well, but for me, it's
Yeah,
in
no,
London,
North's good.
a battle between two: Morley's, which is South London, also very good, and I'd say Chicken. And there's Sam's as well. Sam's is decent. I think you can find a Sam's in East London if you want to go to Sam's. Very cheap. Used to have a good 2 for 2 deal, 2 burgers, 2 fries for, I believe it was £2. But that was back in like 2008.
Shit.
Yeah.
So
Has
now-
the chicken connoisseur been there?
the Chicken Connoisseur, I believe, has been to Chicken, so you can watch that episode.
Oh, lovely. Good.
Review he gave it, and I think he's gone to a Sam's as well. So you can check out the Chicken Connoisseur. I think he's been to a few, but yeah, for me, Chicken is number one.
Do you know how old
That's
like
cool.
the chicken connoisseur is as well? Like, is he 12 or 30?
Nah, he's at 26. The guy,
Now-
like,
Yeah.
he's older.
He's-
He's older. Like, he's been to my house. Like, he lives local.
Yeah.
I remember when those videos first start coming out, I think no one, well, I think I showed it to a few mates and I'm like, we didn't know how old he was. And then when it originally came out, his age, we were like, what? Hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy. He looks very young, very young. But he loves his chicken, and I'm glad he's
He
doing the
does.
episodes again. They're back and they're looking good.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a question here from Adam, and he says, which Prem player would be the best kisser?
That's an intimate question.
It is very intimate.
That's an intimate. I'm trying to think who had lips. I mean, if I was to lips,
Yeah, you need some serious jaws, some serious
I'm
lips.
trying to think of a player like that would.
Fernando Torres would be up there for me.
Ooh,
Yeah.
my
Not wrong, Joe.
guy. Fernando Torres seems like the guy. Like, he'd treat you quite well if you went on a date.
Ma-
I think Torres.
Like, I'm thinking like maybe a South American like Lamella or something as well.
Nah, but Lamella.
Oh,
would
yeah.
cheat.
Yeah.
I think Lamella would cheat on you. Like, you want someone
Yeah.
who treat you well. Like, if it was gonna be, I don't personally kiss guys. Nothing against it. But if I was to choose one, Torres is a good shout. Maybe like a Emre Can.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's very pretty as well. Yeah.
They can be a bit controlling sometimes, I've heard, but maybe Emre Can would be a good kisser. He seems to have nice lips. But Giroud.
Yep, that's another good shout.
Giroud's a good one.
Yeah, and Giroud's there. You might be like, you know what? Let's do it. For me, I'd say Olivier Giroud. If I had to kiss a football player, I'm going for Giroud.
Yeah, no.
Fair play.
I think I'm on Giroud. That one. All right. We've got Alex asks, if you could attend any football match in history, which would it be? So probably one that you saw on TV that you just wish you were there. What do you mean when you were younger? Because I know you've been to a lot.
2 games come to light here. Oh, only one.
Oof.
Can I name
Okay.
a few? Can I name a few?
Yeah,
or
name
can
a
you-
few. Go
Go
on,
for it.
name a few. Go on.
I'm going for Liverpool, AC Milan.
Yeah.
2005, 100%.
Yeah,
Liverpool,
no, sure.
Red Star Belgrade. In Belgrade, I missed that. 2-0 Belgrade.
Was it? Oh, shit.
Marseille, Red Star Belgrade, 1991 European Cup final.
Oh, like
Fair
that.
play.
What was the outcome of that one?
Red Star won it on penalties.
Oh,
So
that
the
would be
only Yugoslavian team to ever win it. So that would have been
yeah, shit.
madness to be at for sure.
Now, like,
Yeah.
I've got another question. I actually asked this one. Does
Okay.
Gary Lineker shag crisps?
Does Gary Lineker shag crisps? I don't think so. From meeting him, he seems like quite a lovely fella. I know he did shit on a football pitch, but I don't think he shagged crisps. I'm gonna have to say that.
Go on, Liv.
I'd say he doesn't shag crisps. Yeah.
Fair
I
play.
have thought about using crisps as a condom, but I just think that wouldn't work well.
Yeah, I don't think.
Depends-
it will,
Like, brought it out
unfortunately.
from,
Depends what outcome you want, I think.
Yeah. Could you use a Pringles can? Like, is that?
It's not bad. Depends. It's not bad. Not a bad idea.
Bad thing is just,
All right.
I'm using the small one.
yeah, it is more.
All right. Okay, this is a good one. Broseph K. So what is your favorite interview I've done? PS, have a nice.
Have a nice bros of K. Been quite a few mad interviews. But one that always pops to mind, which was like one of the most relaxed ones. Like Casper Schmeichel was a lovely dude, and I was mad laid back, and he was just so cool. And yeah, he's a cute guy too. Maybe I'd kiss him as well. But yeah, I'd say Casper Schmeichel.
Casper Schmeichel. That's cool. That's cool.
Now,
Jay, any others?
I've got a question here from Nikki FYB, and he asks, who's the best ever Balkan player?
That's tough.
There are heaps back in the day.
It's tough because obviously I was born in '91, so I didn't really live through a lot of them. I'd say in my
maybe just the ones in your lifetime or the ones you've witnessed.
in my lifetime, I mean, you're looking at probably a Croatian player because they really had some gems. Maybe like a Modric. Modric is an incredible player.
He is, yeah.
That's definitely from the Croatia side. Bosnian is Dzeko, incredible player.
Yeah, love it. Love Dzeko.
Serbian, I'm not too sure. You're maybe looking like a Stankovic. Stankovic left a really good mark in European football. Sometimes Serbian players don't really like rise to the top. You know, you had some before in the '90s with Mijatovic and what's his name, Savicevic, Montenegrin in AC Milan. He was good. So there's a couple, but I'd say maybe of all time, and he's one player of the year. So I mean, I can't doubt that. So I'll say Modric and Vidic and Modric.
Oh, Vidic, yeah, that's good.
Vidic
Okay. Javier Cordia, Vuj, your experience at the 2018 World Cup looked mad. Walk us through your favorite moment of the whole tournament, one at a game and one outside the game, or one outside a game.
Yo, Russia 2018. I wish you guys could have like been flies on the wall, like traveling through Russia, experiencing like the city and the cities and the Russian culture and the games. I think one of my favorite moments was like we had this like clubhouse, and then at like 5 a.m. We'd finished like there was like a club night. We went out, we partied and shit. We partied pretty much every night, and then me and my boy just looked at each other and we were like, "Should we go have steak?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's go have steak." And then we walked across, and the restaurant was open at 5 a.m. and we ordered a steak, like this amazing steak, and we were just munching the steak. So there was a few mad moments. I'll tell you a few others because fuck it, you guys are cool. One time where like I pulled this bird. Should I say me and a lady got acquainted, and
Stacey.
there was in our like bedroom. There was the view outside of my bedroom wasn't great. It was like a shopping center, and I don't know where my head went, but I wasn't really enjoying the blowy, and I was just kind of looking at the shopping center front, going, "What the hell?" You know, just kind of like analyzing the shopping center while getting acquainted with this lady. But she was lovely, and not that I wanted to. She was a great person too. So it wasn't just about that. There's a few moments just outside where going to like a Russian spa with these dudes, fucking slapping me with leaves, and then just all these big Russian motherfuckers. There was just so many random pieces. But actually, also, we played 6-a-side in Moscow Square, and I played for the Aussies. Me and Ellie, he got me on the Aussie team, and we played against these Russian dudes, and we played against Spain, and I scored the winner for Australia against Spain.
Yeah,
you do the Tim Cahill.
Yes.
Bro, I went crazy. Ellie's got like a bit of footage somewhere. I just put my shirt on, ran out the pitch. So I've actually played. I have one app for Australia and one goal. So that was also like, stuff. But there was one moment as well because we were partying so much here, and like every time after the days would finish, in the same so this building we were in, right? It was like half built. It wasn't even finished. So they were still like building, and some rooms weren't finished. Like my thing, only the duvet in my thing, there was like not the mattress, just all fucked up, bro. But it's like a new build, but half built. And at one point it was like 2 a.m. I'd gotten home from like watching a game, long day. I'm literally laying in bed. Ellie knocks on my door and he walks in. He's like, Vuj, Vuj. I was like, yo, what are you saying, bro? He's like, oh man, like we're going out. Like, do you want to come out? And it's like I came back from the dead. I just, let's do it. Boom.
Fair play.
Like an absolute like Terminator. I just like, I'm ready. There's not much. And there was one point where a girl took my bucket hat. That was painful. This like Russian girl came up to me and she's like, hey, like I like your hat. Can I try it on my head? And I was like, no, because I love this hat. You can't have it. Oh no, please, just try it. Just try it. I said, yeah, but you've got to return it. She's like, yeah, okay. And I give it to her. And she's like, oh, it's nice. Okay, I'll be back in one second. She went off, never came back.
That wasn't the Nigeria bucket hat, was it?
It was like a bucket hat. It was a pretty green bucket hat.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was so gutted, man. Absolutely gutted.
You can't trust girls with hats.
Yeah, you
can't trust them at all.
My hat got taken, which sucked. You know, allegedly we went to strip club a couple times. That was fun.
Allegedly.
You know, you got to do that. I think when you go abroad, you always end up going to strip club at least once.
Yeah, no.
I've told you a lot of stories. It wasn't just one. On the pitch, I'd say Serbia, Costa Rica, Kolarov free kick. That was nice to like see Serbia in the game. And also for me, I was there for the Switzerland game with the infamous Chaka Shaqiri, Albanian.
Oh, was that that?
That was surreal.
I've got a story.
It was surreal, but it was, you know, for me, I'm not so politically, I don't know, I'm not so touchy with the nationalism stuff because I've realized a lot of it is, you know, bullshit, and I don't really like the conflict. But of course, it was disappointing, and someone chucked a full-on beer, and it hit me on the back. Like when they scored, and it's like I'm here like disappointed we could have won this game, and then this beer hits me on the back, and I've got a whole wet back. It was just added to the thing. But, what story do you have?
Yeah, so back in the day, like before the A-League, it was the NSL here, and a player, like a Serbian player who played for Perth Glory, his name was Bobby Despotovski, and like he played for the Socceroos. I think he was born in Serbia as well, but he was versing a Croatian team, I think, and he scored. And he's done one of those symbols, and yeah, just shit hit the fan after that. Like rocks were being thrown at him, beers were being thrown at him, and like he got interviewed straight after the game saying, "Oh, like, is it true what you did?" And he's like, "No, I've no clue what happened. Like, I don't know what they're talking about." It's on the news the next night of like him doing like this hand symbol, and it's like it's clear as daylight, like intentionally he did it.
The three finger salute.
That one, yeah.
Yeah. That's the Serbian. You know, that's the Serbian eagle almost. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
A bit of a mad one, but I mean, you know, people. I mean, you know, nationalism and just everything that's happened over there leads to all these rivalries, and I think in sport it can be quite healthy.
No, I agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of history behind it, but in sport, you know, when a Balkan team plays a Balkan team, it's the best fucking thing. And I mean, I enjoy it from a different angle, but I love it. I love it when Serbia plays Croatia in any sport, or you know, Bosnia or whatever. It tends to just be like heated and
it's just like a different feel for it.
It's not as mad as it was. You know, it still can boil over, but slowly it started calming down. But there was a lot of moments when England, Colombia, the penalty shootout, England winning their first penalty shootout in ages, England, Croatia, you know, being at all these games was just, you know, first-hand. I wish I'd filmed it, but at the same time, I'm happy I didn't film it because I was really, really enjoying being there, you know, about kind of filming myself and filming, you know, I do a bit of Instagram, but just experiencing that. And then to top it all off, because obviously, as I've told you, I loved Brazil in 1998. To then finally go watch Serbia at World Cup, and their final game in the group stages was like Serbia against Brazil. It was mad, bruv. And I had like a pitch access before the game, and it was just like a beautiful moment for me, kind of personally and emotionally. And then obviously we lost 2-0, got knocked out, but it just felt beautiful to be there at the World Cup, watch Serbia play against Brazil, you know, this other team that I've loved in my life. And honestly, 2018 World Cup, I could tell you stories for like, this shit could go on forever. So I'll stop.
You told us some good ones, so that was good. I like that. Joe, Bobby was born in Perth, by the way. Bobby
Okay, like from Serbian parents, yeah.
Yeah, so absolute legend. And his son's my watching the show. Shout out Tom Despotowski because he always asks for a shout out. So there you go.
And we've actually forgot to shout out to our Patreons.
Oh, go on, Joe.
The Sokkah Pod has its own Patreon account where you can support the show. Go to www.com, patreon.com
Patreon/Sokkah Podcast.
Sokkah Podcast. So yeah, big ups to Andrea, Andy Tin, Ben Krizik, Ben Robson, Craig Richards, David Clark, Dennis Fernandez, Fraser Marnham, Glenn Oliviero, Harry Russell, Jacob Colangelo, John Morris, Jordan Smith, Jordan Waters, Luke Kelly, Natasha Williams, and Taylor Morris. Cheers, guys, for helping out the pod. We appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Now, Joe, this is a good one. This is probably one of the last ones as well. Jacob Colangelo asks, Vuj, what were the players or moments that made you fall in love with the game and why?
R9, as I've said, I don't know why. Something about the way he played, something about Brazil. I don't know where it was with Brazil. I think I fancied a girl when I came to this country. The first girl I fancied was Brazilian. So maybe I was just trying to like impress her or some shit. But R9 is absolutely the beautiful game. I think he epitomizes what football's about: skill, silkiness, speed, but also a sort of humbleness. I think R9 had a sort of a love for the game. Ronaldinho as well. Players that play the game with joy have always brought a smile to my face. I think we've had a lot more of those maybe back in the day. And then obviously Michael Owen and then Steven Gerrard, just, the passion he had for Liverpool and the passion he had for football, he really kind of showed it on the pitch. And the rocket shots of his, when those go in, it's a beautiful moment. And he scored some of those amazing ones in crucial times. And he's really, really a historical player. And then some Serbian ones. I used to love Matija Kezman. I don't know why, but I liked, he was quite quick. He was great at PSV. Scored quite a few goals there, then didn't really make it. Didn't really do that well when he moved to Chelsea. Matej Kezman. I like players that had like cool boots on. Like those random ones. Like, I like silver boots. So a few of those, and there's a few other like random ones. There's a guy called Almani Moreira, who played for Partizan Belgrade. He's one of my favorite players as well. Just I love technical, small players that kind of have close ball control. Marco Marin at one point. He's been doing quite well at Red Star, but he's moved to Saudi Arabia. I love players like that can change the game. Like when one player can change the whole game, irrelevant of his team, I think those are the real magical players that make you fall in love with football.
So I think that's an awesome note to end on. I think, Trent, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it is. Vuj, thanks so much for coming on. I thought we talked about some awesome stuff.
Yeah, no, absolute pleasure, boys. It was really fun. Thank you for supporting and reaching out. And I hope you'll keep on enjoying the content. And best of luck in your ventures, and big up all the Australians that have shown love over the years and still are kind of watching. We're very grateful that you've kind of given us your time and your fucking views and just engagement. It's been a real pleasure, and I really hope to come to Australia one day soon when this is all over. I'd love to come visit, so you guys have got to take me to some games and show me around.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, cheers for that, Vuj. All the best, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it so much.
Big up, and you know what you say, man. Have a nice, guys.
Have a nice.
Ciao.
Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Come on.